We're going to call the regular select board meeting to order. And this is the town's reorganizational meeting. And the first item on the agenda is to elect a chair. So would anybody like to
Nominate Kathy Luzada.
I'll second that.
nominate Kathy? Okay. CB second. Any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Four, are you abstaining?
I voted for myself.
Okay, all five? 5-0? Okay, all right, so Kathy is chair. She takes it over. I'm done.
Okay. Our next order of business, and thank you. Our next order of business is to nominate and elect a vice chair to run meetings in the chair's absence. I have a nomination for Carolyn Benrent for vice chair. Do we have a second?
You don't second, you nominate, and it's an election, it's not a motion.
I think, we don't do a second?
You don't need a
I thought we
second.
did.
We did last year.
Yeah, we did a second last year.
Yeah, it's okay. We can
It's
just
okay, it's
all right.
okay.
What?
I'm still on Robert's rules.
Yeah,
Gotcha, yes, yes. Yes, so all those in favor?
I was gonna
Oh,
actually.
wait, do we have other nominations? Sorry.
Yeah, I was
I'd like
nominate.
to nominate Rob
Okay,
Barker.
Rob Barker, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor, should I go with who's
Um,
nominated first, or?
one second,
Okay.
yeah, so, yeah. just-
All those in favor of Carolyn Benrent? Aye.
Aye.
There's two. And all those in favor of Rob Barker?
Uh-oh.
There we go, 3-2. Our vice chair is Rob Barker. Okay. Now, we need to set the day, week, time, and location of all regular meetings for the ensuing year. I propose Mondays, the first and third Mondays of the month at 6:30 at Town Hall in this room.
So moved.
Okay. Do we need to,
You can do by consensus.
so this by consensus, is everyone good with that?
I just have a question.
Yes.
What happens if there's a holiday on a first or
Without
third?
objection, it's so ruled, that's what you can say.
So if there is a holiday or something, we decide whether we want to have it on the holiday or the
Okay.
day after.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, so are we good with that?
Yep.
Okay. Now, if we want to adopt the rules of procedures and/or consensus decision-making, this is the time to do that. Last year, the select board voted to do both.
What does that mean exactly when you say consensus decision-making versus,
Rules
'Cause-
of procedure,
right,
right.
so,
So it doesn't have to be Robert's rules. In fact, the VLCT,
right, I read that part. but
Yes.
Specifically the consensus part. Is that like, because some things we agree to by consensus and some things we agree to by majority vote, right?
exactly.
Okay.
Some things are made by motion, some things are done by consensus.
Okay.
And that's why in the past, we've agreed to both.
Okay. So we're basically, but what's the criteria for deciding how a particular thing is decided?
If something is something that has been brought up for elaborate discussion,
Is there any objection? That's what you say.
right,
And then, if there is one, you say it then.
yes.
Without objection, it's so ruled that our meeting's on such and such a date.
Right, I understand that part.
Right.
I guess what I'm asking about is, I know, I've seen
Procedural things,
right, like some,
things that we do every year.
Okay.
That kind of, like routine decisions
That's
are done by
consensus.
consensus.
Okay,
But
okay.
things that really are going to have a major impact on the town,
okay.
or newer,
And then we,
or newer,
in that case, it's
in
majority.
that
Okay.
case, we wouldn't have a motion and we would go by the rules of procedure in
Okay.
that case.
But you can
More
always
formal what
object.
we're
During
what we're voting
discussion that you
Makes sense.
feel like there's a mixture of opinions, consensus means all five of you have to agree.
Right,
So
right,
even
and-
if there's one, and usually it definitely like contracts, agreements like that, those always go by motion votes.
Right, okay.
But smaller things like, should we, meet on Monday night rather than Tuesday night, everybody
Do we want to
agrees.
approve the coin drop?
Okay,
Like if we're gonna make Phil Baker road commissioner.
And
Okay,
And
But
also,
anybody can always call for a vote too. You could.
Right,
call
and
for
can
a motion.
always, you can be talking about something consensus and say, I would like a vote on this, and then
Okay.
we would go into,
okay.
great. So, do we agree on both for, okay,
Yeah.
we agree for, oh, good with agreeing for that? Okay.
I just will note that I was kind of raised on Robert's rules, so I'll need coaching if I goof up with this newer model.
Sure, sure. I think you'll find we're a pretty
Yeah.
cooperative group, so, okay. Are there any additions or deletions for this meeting? Okay, yes.
you said Laurie wasn't gonna be able to be present.
Oh, well, if you want to, Lori's daughter's sick, so we might want to delete that.
Okay, so why don't we delete, that would be, is it recreation?
The appointment,
summer
yeah,
rec.
number nine on your,
So we'll just table that to our next meeting?
yes.
Okay. So you can take off number 9?
I had some questions on number 9 that might help us be more prepared when they come in for the next meeting.
Okay. We could talk about that under Select Board comments and concerns if you'd
Okay.
like. Okay? Okay. Minutes and pay orders. This is when we approve the minutes of the last meeting and we approve the pay orders. So-
You guys aren't in the meeting
Right.
minutes vote,
Right.
because you weren't there.
That's right. So this would be for the 3 of us. So do I have a motion?
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Okay, I second. Let's look over the minutes. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. So that's approved. We now have the pay orders as of March 18th, 2025.
Did Rob, that was for both of them? Your motion was for both, the regular and the informational?
Oh, are the
yeah.
regular minutes in here?
Yeah.
They're on the same
Yes.
page? No. Yeah,
Okay,
I'll do both.
okay,
You know,
great.
by consensus.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we approve the minutes of both meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now moving on to pay orders. Are there any additions to this
No,
today?
no additions.
Okay. Then this is the amount, $61,562.12. Do we have a motion?
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
Um,
Well, can he ask, yes, you can, yes, sure you can, yeah.
The line item VLCTPAICIF, is that insurance? It's right near the bottom.
Right, the PACIF. Is that for the services that VLCT provides?
That's, insurance, isn't it?
Is that the insurance fund?
From all your cities and towns.
Yes, so that is our insurance.
Insurance.
Okay,
Yes,
It's the liability, yeah.
yeah, it's a
Okay.
liability
that's
insurance.
what I was thinking.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Julie and I had exchanged emails about the charge for the siren, as part of the, I was trying to figure out how much we spent for electricity, and I guess it's all gets sort of bundled together.
Right.
Yeah,
Is that charge for the siren bundled into the Green Mountain Power?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And that charge, the siren used to be the fire district's invoice, but, because it's their siren, but they allowed us to wire the new heat pumps through it. If
Okay.
they hadn't turned over the siren to us, it would have been a huge cost for us to bring that level of, electricity into the town
Yeah,
to
yeah,
handle the
okay.
heat pumps. So now we pay the siren bill. That bill was for 2 months. The siren was like around $600, but that was for 2 months, so it's gonna be about $300
Uh-huh.
a month for the siren, but that includes the heat pump cost too.
Okay.
So, our normal town hall heating bill is between $200 and $300 depending on the month, and this will add between $200 and $300 for the heat pumps
Okay.
per month. But that bill is for the town garage, town hall, the transfer station, and now the siren.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor of approving the pay orders?
Aye.
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 Okay. Moving on. We are at Road Commissioners Report.
Not a lot to report, just a little bit of road damage. I talked to Steve today, the little washout on Sugar Hill. I guess they did finally put signs out down on Hartsboro Road. I didn't think it was over. I looked this afternoon, I didn't see it over, but
Okay.
they put those out. I haven't had them bring any more sand in. I think we got enough to finish out what looks like we have for winter, but
Okay.
that's a discussion that we've got to figure this out because we have to use up the sand budget before
Okay.
June.
Yes.
And when it's slow like this, when they can't work on the roads, it's the time we normally fill the sand shed. So we gotta figure this sand shed thing out.
Yes.
And, so we can go one way or the other here.
Right.
I told Steve today he's gonna put the weed whacker back together on a machine, and he's gonna start brush hogging again. He's got a couple roads to do in town, and then he's going back into East Wallingford for a while. Knock down some more brush while leaves aren't on. And I'm not sure, but I still don't think we have our 14 back.
No, we don't.
I didn't ask him that, I forgot
It's not.
tonight when I talked to him.
It's not, rode around with Charlie today.
So, I'm not sure what we're gonna get into for a bill for that,
Okay.
but it's probably gonna be pricey.
Okay.
So it's back to the scenario of making a decision whether you wanna start looking for a truck or not, cause it's a 2-year wait.
Okay.
Cause town of Shrewsbury just ordered one in and it was 2 years.
Okay. And we have what for trucks right now?
14 and a 16.
And the
And-
14 is not,
Well, they've done almost as much to Charlie's truck too, money-wise. It's just, the agreement was they tried to, want to rotate every 7 years. And now we're 11 and 9, 7,
11, 9, and
11 and 8 years roughly.
8. And which one's 11, which one's 8?
14, the old 14 is 11 years old.
Is 11,
Almost
okay.
12 now. So, they're gonna expect some bills on it if they're gonna try to keep, well,
Yeah.
you're gonna know you're gonna keep it at least 2 more years, because you can't get another truck for 2 years.
Gotcha.
So, you may not only
So it
try to buy a new
sounds like
truck.
it might be a
or
good
budget for
idea
a
to
new
talk
truck and Try to
about.
buy one and then end up putting a ton of money into keeping
Right.
this one running.
Okay. Okay.
Just food for thought.
Thank you.
Other than that, I don't think I have anything else.
Grant application, 140. You applied for class 2 highway grant?
Oh, the paving, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one thing I saw on that, and it's probably really minor, but it says what's going to be paved, it goes across the bridge, the steel truss bridge, and then there's a section after that that says like check any structures, and one of the options to check is a steel truss bridge, but it's not checked off. I don't know if that makes
Can't
any
pave
sense.
on that.
Okay, well, it's-
The only way you could pave that, I think, is mag off what's on it, because it's already up to its weight quota for hot
Okay.
mix.
all right.
With it adding weight to the.
Yeah,
bridge.
I don't think they can do a lot.
Yeah, it just
of adding
says-
more weight to that.
Elfin Lake Road, easterly, 4/10 of a mile over the steel truss bridge to the railroad tracks.
That's a section that hasn't been done lately. There's a section up above that that's even worse than that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying what's on the form here for the
Yeah,
grant
they-
application.
They don't care, it's just, they're looking
Oh,
for
okay.
some sort of direction of where you're gonna go with it
Okay.
on this, because
That's what most of it
if they
goes-
give you a grant, it's say roughly for a half a mile of paving, we'll just pick the worst half mile on
Okay, gotcha,
140.
gotcha.
Because that one may not be quite so bad as up further,
Yeah,
way
yeah.
up towards Tibbetts.
Yeah, I know.
You
Okay.
have to pick a.
Okay, cool.
So the question is, for the annual financial plan, do we want to sign the document? And this can be consensus, right, Sandy?
Yes.
Ms. Luzada?
Yes.
I have a few questions
Oh, sure.
before we do that.
Yep.
We were just talking about the bridge over 140 near near Waldo Lane.
Yes.
Do we assess the conditions underneath that bridge from time to time?
State's done that.
Every 2 years, the state does that.
Every 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's the one that rebuilt it or repainted it a few years ago.
Wasn't it in the 90s that they did major repairs where it was kind of ready to drop off its supports?
The town
Could have
did-
been, that's.
The town did those repairs.
And then, but it was done again, they painted it after that.
Okay,
It's been painted since then, I know.
right.
That was the last bond vote we took out, was that bridge,
The paint,
to do that big repair.
yeah.
And this might be unrelated to the budget, but the state request for our going along with their their redoing the intersection at 7 and 140. We're about to launch the School Street Sidewalk project. Is somebody going to coordinate between that project and this major thing that the state wants to do?
That's a good question for the
That,
state.
that's an excellent question, and the state will be coming and presenting to us on what they want to do with the intersection. That was actually one of the questions I was going to have for them. And I also have a question about what kind of underneath they're putting in. We believe that the system that we have right now could be different than what they're proposing, and that is going to be brought up and discussed.
The design also
Yes.
looks as if, I understand from traffic safety perspective, the bump outs help pedestrians. But I'm frequently working around that intersection, and all the time, these big trucks are trying to make turns and their wheels are going up over the curb.
Yes.
It's just, if you increase it, it's gonna be even worse.
By far.
Yes.
I spend many hours going over those curbs.
Yeah, I bet.
There's no room, and the taper of those walkouts with the bumps at the end, I think is for the handicap, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So they can feel it with their cane.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why they'd want to bump them out any further into traffic.
Right.
Yeah, it's
You know, it
already
doesn't make any
tight.
sense to me, but I don't,
Maybe
the
that
whole,
could-
that whole corner layout, I've looked at the map, doesn't make any sense to me.
So that could be another question for when they come.
Exactly. Yep.
All right, those were my questions.
Okay. Anyone else? So we have two questions to consider. The first one is the annual financial plan. Do we want to sign for that?
I'm okay with it.
I move we sign it.
Okay. So it's a yes on the financial plan. And then for the paving grant application, do we approve submitting the grant application? I agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
Consensus.
And yes, we're moving ahead with the grant application too. Phil, is there anything else?
No, I don't have any
You gonna
unless,
stick around for the snow fence, are you?
yeah, I'm gonna be here. Yeah.
Okay. Fabulous, okay. And I think we're talking about the shed again at our April meeting,
Yes.
on April 7th, if I have the date correct. So we are talking about the shed very soon.
The same.
Well, it's up to you guys. I've been at it for 2 years here now, so.
Well, from what I understand, we've been talking sheds for quite a while, more than 2 years,
Yeah,
so.
it's more than 2 years, but.
More than 2 years, so, yes, okay. Our next item is honorable mentions. The board would like to thank Paul and Maria Garland and Carpet King of Vermont for donations to the Boy with the Boot Fund. Thank you very much. And Araby Leary for a donation to the Sugar Hills Cemetery Fund. Now, it's time for public comments. Do we have any public making comments? It does not look that way. So, we will move ahead to our next item, and this is the snow fence on Centerville Road. Dustin,
Yes,
welcome.
thank you for having me.
Yes. So now, we'd like to talk about, you have a request. You'd like to see a snow fence installed.
So, yes, we're having trouble, it's progressively worse the last few years. In this section, I have some maps here if I can share with you
Yes,
guys.
please.
Feel free to take one and pass it around.
Thank you.
So, in this section, it's right near a swamp that's pretty big too, and
They're all the same.
the development that's occurred there has taken away the natural barrier of trees protecting the snow from the road. So we've had a few instances this winter, Grandma being one, and then my concern is emergency vehicles, getting through the snow with such a degree of change. There's not an easy answer to it, but it's making it kind of difficult to get through. And we've been lucky this year with not having a whole lot of snowfall compared to some, but, if we were to get a larger amount, it's becoming an issue.
Okay. Any questions on the map?
Feller Brook describe the road that's near it?
Centerville Road, so
Centerville.
Centerville Road, and then Feller Brook kind of comes down, and then Carrera Camp Road will come out to the side.
Got it, thank you.
And it's just opened it up dramatically, to the point that it's, the snow has nowhere to go except deposit in the road. And it's, the town does a great job, Bill does a great job out there, but it's hard to police that with every time the wind blows.
The snow fence won't affect it when you do anything there.
No, you
It'll
don't
fill
think-
up and blow over that the first snowstorm. Just,
Is-
if you ever go to Timoth and see how they keep making windrows in the metal up there, when you get a year like this year that actually have a little snow in it, it just keeps going over and over. I can remember years when we were kids, they opened that up with a bulldozer 4 or 5 times a winter, that road. It would be 6 to 8 feet deep.
Okay.
You couldn't drive up it. It was impassable.
So with that being said, is there something else, or in that little drawing, there's a lot of trees that are trying to be deleted in that area? Can we limit what's being deleted out of there to limit what's happening in the road?
Rob can back me on this, but I don't think we can touch anything out of the right of way, can we?
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
private
the
property.
owner's issue,
Okay.
and,
It's, my first suggestion was gonna be trees too, but
yeah.
the guy cut them.
Yeah,
It was working.
The gentleman that owns it was actually I think was gonna put in a horse farm, but I don't know if he ever did.
I don't know what.
That's
the
why he
plan is.
cleared it all, was stumping it. and
I can
put a
remember
horse
the
farm.
snow fence on 140 in Mount Holly on that stretch before they planted those trees.
Yep.
And those trees worked.
Yeah, the trees will work.
They will, but I mean,
Whether we can get.
how can we get them to stay then? So no more disappear,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't cause an impact on the
We
road.
could
I
plant
guess, you know.
trees in right away.
Yeah, that's
Or
true.
we could put the snow fence there, but I don't know what we do.
Snow fence would go right over it. It's only 4 foot and wouldn't last very long.
It's a
And
tough-
how close
it's a
is
tough-
the right of way to the road?
Well, it's
3
25
rods.
feet from the center of the road.
3 rod right away, I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
You got probably a 20-foot travel surface.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any more than
So you got
that.
you got 10 feet of off the road that you could plant, probably,
Okay.
if it's a narrow road.
What I ought to do is maybe go look at it, see if we can plant a row of spruce again back in there, or softwood, to absorb up
Yeah.
the snow issues.
It would be.
Because that sounds like that
Take
would
2,
be a
3
more
years to
natural
do it, but
solution, and
at
if
least
we
it would
could,
eliminate the issue.
Right.
and if we could do it where it didn't affect private property, it was on,
We'll have to look at it to see.
Yeah, look
whether
at
it
it.
would work.
Yeah, the owner might let us do it too.
Well, last year he was taking it out, and, all that buffer.
Yeah.
So
So
I
he
so he
think
took the
this
trees
year,
out last year?
yeah, I
He
think
took a
this
bunch
year
of
he
dead
plans
stuff.
to take out more, so
Okay.
just, maybe tap the brakes a bit there on that.
Maybe
Would be
we can
nice.
slow him down and taking it out, hopefully.
Okay.
I can talk to
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I'm good, thank you. I
Okay,
appreciate
Well,
that.
we'll get something going.
Yeah,
one way or the
or
other.
just limit
No.
what's been, further
Yeah,
issues, I guess,
the issue with the snow fence is it just blows to it, hits it, makes a slope and goes over it. And if you don't have some way to relieve that backside so it's a catcher, or that snow, as you know, it's not gonna
It's not
stay.
gonna stay.
It's just gonna come up and over it.
Right, right, so something natural would be ideal.
Yeah, that's why the state stopped doing it a lot of places. It just didn't effectively, with the labor involved, Tenston,
Oh, absolutely,
all putting it up.
absolutely.
right. It sounds like the best defense would be what has been removed.
Yep,
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And we had some extra maps if you would like.
Oh, no, keep them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, thank
All
you.
right, we'll let you
Well,
folks
good
be.
evening.
Have a wonderful night.
Have a good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Okay. We are moving on to non-binding resolution. Sarah Wicker.
Hi,
So you can have this.
should I read it again? I read it when I.
You guys have
Or
copies.
do you guys?
We have copies.
Okay, so I don't need to read it again?
I don't think so.
Okay, good, because it makes me nervous.
Okay.
But I will if I need to. Yeah, I would just like to say that I think there's several towns that have made similar resolutions, and I think Wallingford might also want to join them in that.
As Sarah's husband, am I allowed to add a comment?
Yes.
No.
That's her rules, not ours.
So, it may be stating the obvious, but I think it's important to realize that a resolution or statement like this is very nonpartisan. Any good person of whatever political persuasion from the right or left will hopefully be supporting the rule of law. So, that's my comment on this. It doesn't matter really where you're coming from, because all it's really saying is we just want to follow the law.
Ms. Gonzada, I think for the benefit of people who might be watching,
Yes.
they won't understand the context, so maybe we do read it.
Would you like me to read it into the,
I think it should be read into the record.
so are we all good with that? Okay, I'm gonna read this into the record. We, the Town of Wallingford Select Board, on behalf of the residents of Wallingford, resolve to formally request that our Governor, Phil Scott, publicly reaffirm his commitment to upholding the rule of law, protecting the rights of Vermonters and the Vermont Constitution against federal overreach, even if confronted with federal threats related to funding or other matters. Furthermore, we encourage him to proactively leverage his authority and engage with his colleagues nationwide to advocate for the protection of the rights of government personnel, immigrants, the disabled, and all Americans, regardless of their race, gender, or sexual orientation. Additionally, we call on him to work with his colleagues on both a state and federal level to safeguard critical services such as Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security, which are essential to the well-being of all Vermonters. Dated this day, March 17, 2025. So with it read into...
I move we sign it.
Okay, do we have any, I did have a question.
Is there a
before.
second?
Don't get the.
Oh, yes, let's do
Second
that
that.
first. So is there a second?
Yeah, seconded it.
So we have a second. So now discussion. So my question is, with this resolution, are other Vermont Select Boards being presented with this?
It's my understanding that they are.
Okay.
I didn't write that.
Okay,
That has been shared with a bunch of towns. I mean, obviously adjusted to
right.
town.
Gee, exactly.
But I don't actually know how far it's gone.
Okay, okay,
It seemed like a good idea to me.
okay.
I did see a map that said about it looked like about half a dozen, 6 or 8 other towns have done it.
I mean, I would hope.
We're hoping it spreads.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Is there any other discussion on this?
This is pertinent to towns in Wallingford, just like the nuclear freeze that we had 40 years ago. Remember that? Nuclear freeze? It was a town meeting and all these, just made a statement, we want to stop nuclear weapons.
Right, I was, 40 years ago, I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
But I believe it.
Yes, I believe you. Yes.
But whether it's still, world things affect our town, and we can do things if we think our town is affected. I would do this.
I'm prepared to support this, and I want to mention that several residents have spoken to me in the last few weeks and urged me not to support it, saying that the select board shouldn't be political, and they see this as a political statement. I do not see it as a political statement. I see it as common sense. I see it as having strength, especially as other towns are joining. There's very concrete things that have already happened to Vermont. We lost $1.7 million in the Farms to School Meals Program in the last few weeks. The fire district is going to lose money because they applied for a simple grant to do an engineering assessment of the town water system, which would help them triage and prioritize where to do repairs. We know that there are cuts coming to education for Title I and for special education. So I think that we need to ensure that as those cuts are coming down, that they're being challenged appropriately if the rule of law is not being followed, or if the cuts are being determined in a way that is not legal.
And just on what you said about education, we don't know yet if there's going to be cuts to Title I and to special education, but we do know that there are cuts to education that will be coming forth.
Oh,
They might not be in those areas, but that cuts are coming.
And I think
That could affect.
I think what this really speaks to is that we don't want, from the federal level, them to be able to say, you'll get this Title I money if you do X, Y, and Z in your schools, because that's to me, that's Vermont's decision. That's a local choice, and the federal government shouldn't be able to hinge funding on that. So that to me, that's a lot of what this also speaks to.
Do we have any other discussion on this? Okay.
One other thing that I worry about losing is that money that comes to the town from the Green Mountain National Forest. So it's a very vulnerable area for a cut, and that would be a loss.
Yes. Yes, would. So with that said, all those in favor of approving the non-binding resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed?
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Can I still stay?
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, moving on now, we're going on to number 10, which is tobacco and liquor licenses.
Oh, yeah.
So enclosed you will find liquor and tobacco licenses and endorsement guidelines and applications. A second-class liquor license allows the stores to sell beer and wine only for consumption off the premises and to export malt or vinous beverages only. A tobacco license allows a business to sell tobacco products and paraphernalia, and a tobacco endorsement allows the sale of e-cigarettes and paraphernalia. And do we approve of second-class liquor licenses, tobacco licenses, and tobacco endorsements for Jiffy Mart on Route 103 and Midway Oil on North Main Street?
That's in Rutland. Is that the one in North Main Street, isn't that?
Let's,
North Main Street right here.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
The mobile,
Oh, is that why it's?
that's Midway Oil.
That's Midway Oil? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you Google Midway Oil.
Yeah.
And on North Main Street, it points you to Rutland. I was like, okay.
I hear you, yes.
Wallingford's bigger than
Will
you
we need a
thought.
motion for this?
You can do it by consent.
We can do this by consensus.
yeah, all at once, all of them.
We've approved these in the past. I know I am fine approving these again. Do we have any other, we all good? Okay. Sounds like they are all approved. Okay. David, what are you here for this evening?
There's a thing, a line on the agenda about filling the vacant position on the lower school board.
Okay, just making sure, because we took number 9, the rec out, because Laurie wasn't here. So just making sure, since you just walked
I might be
in.
able to speak to the questions on the rec.
We decided to hold that off until she could
Yes.
be
That
present. so.
that sounds fine. It's
Okay.
Lori knows better the nuts and bolts of the
Just
hiring
making sure you didn't come to represent.
No, no.
Just checking.
Okay, so we are on to the MRUUSD recommendation for vacancy. So this is because there was a resignation from Wallingford from the Mill River Unified Union School District Board. And we have a letter from Superintendent Brian Hill
Right.
on the next steps. And David Cornwall is here this evening wanting to step into this position.
And I emailed you as well, Kathy.
Yes.
Yep. And I also had reached out to the school board and they suggested that I communicate with them as well as the select board.
So I did not bring your letter with me. I thought, if you just want to speak to.
Sure, I'm not sure what you'd like to know. I live in Wallingford. I have 3 kids, 2 of which are attending Mill River schools, one at Wallingford Elementary School, one at Mill River High School. And I'm an educator. I work in Rutland Middle School, Rutland City Schools. I believe it's a 1-year position, and I'd be interested in stepping into that role. Obviously, I'm a licensed teacher. I'm also a licensed school administrator. I have some perspective on educational questions and matters. I don't really have an axe to grind, if you will, but I'm open to helping make our school system better, serve our kids effectively, make responsible use of tax dollars, while also improving opportunities for our kids and striking that balance.
Okay.
So I'd be interested in filling that position for the remainder of the term that was vacated.
Okay. So what we would be doing this evening is to forward your contact information to the board.
I believe you
For
make
this
a recommendation that or someone else fills the position. I believe that's your role in this, I think.
And will we need a motion on this?
No, not yet.
Okay, so this is just,
Yeah, are you speaking to it as well?
Yeah, well, it's a recommendation. It's,
Okay.
the law says the Mill River, because it's a unified union now, we don't
Yes.
have a Wallingford Town District Board
Exactly.
anymore.
They appoint, we don't, used to be.
They appoint, but the law reads in consultation with the select board. It just makes good sense to collaborate. And you can make a recommendation or not, or you can do whatever you want, but the end call is the Mill River School Board.
so are we good with making a recommendation to the board for David?
Most definitely.
Okay. I know I am good with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, David, for stepping up.
Yes, thank you, David.
Thank you, Dave.
And I would say, in other circumstances, sometimes there's more than one person.
Right,
So
Yeah.
it's just good form.
Yeah.
okay.
Touch
And I
base.
think it's David who's stepping up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Are you here to step up, Ken, or?
Oh, no.
Since you brought that up, I thought I
I'd like to just add one comment to all of this as a member of the school
Yes,
board.
yes.
I know David, I don't know David well. We had a pretty good long conversation at my place a while ago, and I think he brings what we need to the school board, which is just kind of a common sense, apolitical, non-ideological, you said no axe to grind.
Nope.
We just look at things and try to do the best we can with the resources that we have. And I think our board is getting a major upgrade with his addition.
I agree,
Well, thank you.
100%.
Well, you've got some big boots to
I was
fill.
gonna say, you guys are getting big. You should probably go.
You have nowhere to go but out, trust me, so it's great to have you.
I have known David 13 years now.
Something like- yeah,
Our
that
kids-
sounds about right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've coached together, our kids go to school together, yeah.
I steal his classroom
Yeah.
every morning for my
She
class.
does steal my class.
I
Pretty much
do,
daily,
on a
yes.
daily basis, basically.
Yeah. So again, I just think it'd be a nice way to serve, and it's something I enjoy that I could run, but it's a limited term engagement, if you will, to start.
Right.
And I think it'd be a good experience, for me, and I think I could have some perspective that I can lend to the board in our schools.
Okay.
You're not leaving rec, right?
I wasn't planning on it.
Good.
At least
That's a
not.
condition.
It's a 4-year term, I think. I got one more year
Well,
left.
good. Okay, so we will move your name ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank
And do we
you.
expect to see that when we go to the next school board meeting? Will
I
that
would think so, yes.
Oh, yeah, by the
Great.
28th, we have to have it in.
Okay. Well, I think the next meeting is in 2 days.
Their next meeting's April 2nd.
Oh, it's not?
Oh, okay.
No,
Fine.
no, there's one before that.
Is there one in
There's
2
one
days?
this upcoming.
It says on his letter that they're gonna be appointing on April 2nd.
Oh, maybe it's not.
Okay, it's not on the agenda for
Right.
Wednesday.
Okay,
so that's
I was just
fine.
curious.
So we got plenty of time.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
they're taking names until March 28th.
Yeah, and it would give other people time to.
If they
Yeah,
wanted
gives
to
other people a chance as
Okay,
well.
just curious about how that would work. Okay, but the
There you
April
go.
2nd's when it actually gets done.
Right.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
People are probably lining up. I don't know.
I was gonna say, I shoved people aside when I came in, but.
That way the door locked.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on
Thank
to annual appointments and reappointments.
See you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, thank you.
You're back.
Thank you. I always forget it. I got it.
Okay, we are moving on to our annual appointments and reappointments. Just for everyone's information, Robert Cook does not want to be reappointed as constable, and Jill Burkett does not want to be reappointed to the planning commission. So I'm going to read through those who are up for reappointment. Debbie Scranton for a 3-year term on the Conservation Commission. Jason Stone for 3 years on the Development Review Board. Joseph Elwell as dog warden for 1 year. E911 coordinators Dale and Eric Davenport for 1 year. Emergency Management Director Jim Bagnell for 1 year. Robbie Stubbins, Doug Blodgett, and Jay White for 3 years on the Energy Committee. Michael McGann, Fire Protection Budget Committee for 1 year. Bruce Dobbins as Rutland County Solid Waste Rep and Rutland Regional Transportation Council Rep, 1 year for each of those. Shannon Picklet for Recreation for 3 years. Erica Berner as Rutland Regional Planning Commission Rep for 1 year. And Tree Warden Rob Barker for 1 year. And we would like to reappoint them.
I would like to, I'm trying to decide how to not embarrass someone. I'm not comfortable with the entire list.
Gotcha. Okay. I guess I need to ask, which
Is that,
position?
the Development Review Board.
Okay. Development Review Board, and is that the one for Jason Stone?
Yes.
3 years, okay. Is there anything you'd like to share with the board on that, or?
A member contacted me and said he had not made any meetings during his term. And apparently the chair has resigned, so our normal route of hearing from the chair, asking for a different appointment,
is not
I think they
available.
need to reorganize,
Yes.
have a chair, tell us what their vacancies are, and we look for people to commit to that board.
Because that's something we can, do we
You cannot
post things like
reappoint them.
this then? What?
You can not reappoint them. You
Okay.
can post the vacancies, yeah.
Yes. So, what do other, so, on the other ones that are named,
Did you get a response? Because you reached out to everybody. Did he respond?
I sent an email out to everybody asking them to let me know if they did not
Okay.
want to be reappointed. He did not respond.
Okay,
okay,
just
so there was no response, okay.
just checking.
Okay. So, does everybody, would everyone be okay with not reappointing on the DRB and having that go up for?
Open until we find out more what's going on.
What about the other appointments? Are we good with the other appointments?
They're all fine from me.
Same.
Did we say road commissioner?
That doesn't, oh yes, so we're coming to that.
Oh.
Let's do these ones first.
Right.
Okay.
So are we good with the other appointments?
I'm good with them.
Okay, so we're good with the other reappointments?
We're tabling Jason.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Now, we have Bruce Dobbins is interested in filling a vacancy on the Development Review Board for 3 years. And do we want to appoint him? Now, I know, because I've got a question on that, with conflict of interest?
Yeah.
No, we
There is-
checked with VLCT, there's not a conflict of
And there
interest.
is not a conflict?
No.
Okay. So there is not a conflict of interest?
That
if
was
we-
my question too. Why isn't that a conflict of interest?
Why would it be?
I believe that his
How
wife,
is one person benefiting from the other?
well, his wife staffs that board. His wife staffs that board.
But she's
That's
not,
okay.
but she's
That's
not
fine.
paid. It's not a paid position. They aren't benefiting financially from the appointment. Is that the right way to
Well,
word that, Sandy?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, I have tremendous respect for Bruce Dobbins. He's a hard worker, thorough, detailed oriented, and he'd be great on the Development Review Board. But I'd like him to consider another one. It just feels,
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, in a small town, there's a lot of jobs, and there's no small number of people to fill them. And you get things that you think are conflict of interest, but they're not.
okay.
So I
So
sent,
we could
I
even say
sent
Rob
it-
is a conflict of being a tree warden and being on the
Yeah.
select board.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, it's not, but I mean, you could make a similar argument is because
Yeah.
the select board asks you to do things.
And Sandy, what,
I look at it as, is your wife an employee, for instance? That's a conflict.
The problem is that projects come before that board, that Ms. Berner would be paid as zoning administrator to have a role in. And it just feels like it's too,
But Dobbins is not paying her, you know, I mean, that's her fees for processing permits.
okay.
There's, just because they're married doesn't mean that they don't have their own mind, you know?
Yeah.
You know, they're a citizen just like anybody else, and the,
and I think with his knowledge base, he's very qualified for this board.
Could we do a vote on that
Yes.
rather than
So
consensus?
just to let you know, Erica asked me to contact VLCT with this very question before he submitted his name. And so the question I asked was, the town zoning administrator asked whether her husband could serve on the planning commission and/or development review board. Wallingford zoning administrator is also the chair of the planning commission and serves as administration of the DRB. She asked if her husband serving on either committee would be a conflict of interest or an issue in any way as far as appearance and decision-making. And the Susan Friedman is one of the attorneys for VLCT. She said, "Hi, Sandy. The members should take the ethics
All right. Ethics course.
quiz that all of you are going to require to take." And she said the commission, the commission can be asked to provide an advisory opinion if it's not immediately clear. Otherwise, the law would not prohibit the spouses from holding these roles. And she gave the links to the state's ethic commission. She said there could be instances of conflicts that arise. The zoning administrator is nominated by the planning commission, etc. So the spouse should recuse themselves from voting on the zoning administrator's nomination when that time comes. But they suggest that the DRB members all take the ethics so they're aware of when there might or might not be a conflict. But they said there'd be no reason why a spouse couldn't serve.
I'm glad they did that research.
So would you like this to go to a vote?
Yes.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
Not yet.
So would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Bruce Dobbins for the vacancy, the 3-year vacancy for the Development Review Board.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of approving Bruce Dobbins to fill the vacancy on the DRB?
Aye.
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 Those
Nay.
opposed? Oh, aye. So it's all, yep.
No, she said nay.
She said nay.
Oh, nay.
Nay, one nay.
And one opposed.
Got it.
Four,
Yep, got it.
4
Thank
yea
you.
and 1 nay. Okay. Moving on, Maureen Duchesne has expressed interest in serving as auditor. Do we want to appoint Maureen until next town meeting, and then she would have to run for the remaining 2 years? So this will be just for this upcoming year. I'm good with her
Yes.
serving as auditor.
Yes.
I'll move to appoint Maureen Duchesne as auditor for, until, how do we say it?
She would have to run the following year for the remaining
To
2 years of her
serve
3-year seat.
Until the next town meeting.
Yep. Okay. So that's approved?
There's just a second.
Oh,
She made a motion.
so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Do we have discussion? Okay. All those in favor of approving Maureen?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now, do we want to make a motion for Phil Baker as road commissioner?
I make a motion, Phil Baker be the road commissioner.
Permanently.
Second. Discussion.
No.
I think he's a good man, I think he'll do a good job.
I've heard good things about him.
Yes, I think he's done a very nice job for us as road commissioner. I'm very thankful for the work that he does for this town. So, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Okay. Okay, so now, we've actually had this discussion. We need to decide a select board for the Mill River Scholarship Committee. There is a representative, it's within their, I don't know what you would call it, but a Wallingford, I think from each town that is served by Mill River.
These are just for
This
the
is just
Wallingford
Wallingford's.
scholarships.
Oh, this is for the Wallingford Scholarship. So we have a select board member serve on the Wallingford Scholarship Committee.
It's one meeting.
Yes,
It's one meeting, probably late
10
April.
minutes.
yes.
No.
I did it last year, it was about 10 minutes, and you could do it virtually too.
What do you just review the scholarship applications or something?
Yeah, I did it last year, and it was, you'll get them to approve, to look over beforehand, and then was it somebody from the school, somebody
Yes.
from the school board,
Yep.
and then one of us, and there was a
Yes.
fourth, and then the superintendent was in the
Yes.
meeting.
Yep. I have served on this in the past. I would serve on this again unless someone else would like to do this.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it if
Would
it's,
you like to, Glenn?
sure.
Okay. So, Lenny got the job.
You'll get an email and just, they'll give you, what
Yes.
happened last year was they'll ask you a number of times. They put it out to everybody who can, when they can meet, and
Yeah,
I literally pulled in,
yeah.
we voted, there was, and then right out.
And it's a
Okay.
lovely little thing to serve on, and
Yeah.
you know that you're helping out some Wallingford students who have
Yeah,
done
'cause the
well.
only people that can apply to it is if they live in town.
Yeah.
Right,
Excellent.
okay, great. Moving on to our local emergency management plan, NIMS. We have a copy.
Yeah. There's something new, huh?
These documents are required to be adopted annually. Okay. So we have the local emergency operational plan. And the National Incident Management System. There is a note here that our emergency management director spends some time in Florida each winter. He's recommended that the LEMP include an emergency management coordinator in EMC as well as an EMD. And William Weiss, who has extensive experience with Wallingford Rescue, has agreed to take on that role. So I think this can be done by consensus?
And we have to do it, right?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's an annual thing.
Yeah.
Yep. So do we want to approve the LEMP and NIMS and authorize the select board chair to sign? Yes,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's a yes. Okay, moving on. The implementation grant project manager bids. Okay, so the town has issued a request for a proposal for a project manager to oversee the Elfin Lake Public Beach Erosion Reduction Project, funded by a Watersheds of United grant, with a maximum of $60,000 and an in-kind $2,000 match. Fitzgerald Environmental Associates has submitted a bid. It's been the only submission before the March 11th deadline. We hired them a few years ago to create the preliminary and final designs. And they did.
They were fantastic.
They did a
We
fantastic
missed the
job.
deadline, didn't we?
They have not missed a deadline. They were the only one to go ahead and apply before the deadline.
The
March 11th.
The only concern I had is we issued a request for a project not to exceed 60,000. And if they get going, they've given us hourly rates, kind of what their fees are. And there's no bottom line, so they could dig up the whole beach. I mean, it's comforting that we've had experience with this firm in the past and they've been accountable. But I just would worry that they reach the 60,000 and they just put everything away and go
So
home.
the 60,000 is for the whole project?
Yes.
from start to finish.
Yeah,
The project manager portion is $8,000.
Yes.
If you see on their second page of
Yes.
their,
Not to exceed.
Thank you, Sandy. I was
Proposal?
about to point that out.
it says not, their price
Oh,
is
I
not
see.
to
Oh,
exceed
good.
$8,000.
good,
So they gave their hourly rate, but their whole rate won't exceed $8,000,
Okay.
which is exactly what we have in the
That's
budget
fine.
for a project manager, yeah.
Yep. Thank you for that question. Are there any other comments or questions? And I think on this, we would need a motion, is that
I
correct?
would, I would.
Yes. So we'll need a motion on this.
move to approve Fitzgerald Environmental Associates for the role of implementation grant project manager for the Elfin Lake Erosion Implementation Project. That's a long motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No?
I think they'll be excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, they've already gotten
Yes,
so much involved in it.
Yeah.
yes.
It's,
And they know
anybody
the
else would be starting
project,
from
so I think
scratch.
they'll be perfect. Okay.
Hope they can
So
get to-
now we are on to select board comments and concerns.
Yes, the item that was held off the agenda due to illness, summer rec program hire.
Yes.
I'm speaking as someone who's just arrived, and maybe a lot has gone on to have this application considered. And that's what I need to know. I mean, is this a position that was vacated? It was filled by someone last summer? Or it's a newly created position?
She's reapplying
No.
for where she was?
No.
No,
No?
No?
so, correct, so every summer the summer staff reapplies, except for pretty much the director.
Right.
And normally it's Laurie, and last year was 2 people, and only one of the returnings have applied so far, but it's still early.
So do we?
So this is a new person applying.
Okay, but is there a posting for
Yes.
these positions?
Yes.
Yep, we post them around.
Has
So
the
when this
deadline
pos-
for this already passed? Or can they
No, we don't
still
really put
submit?
deadlines, it's kind of apply until the jobs are filled.
So if someone else wanted to apply for this, they could?
Right.
Okay.
The only contingent with this is that we really need somebody who would also have time to get a lifeguard certificate.
Right.
So like concessions, we can kind of delay for quite a while.
Yeah.
There's only so many trainings that they can do before June to get their lifeguard certificate, so.
And,
But there's still time.
yeah,
Yes.
and historically, I'm not sure if we have an actual policy, we've only hired somebody that was 16 at the beginning of the summer.
Yes.
The candidate is very young, and I haven't checked recently, but Red Cross Life Saving certification, you had to be 18 at the time.
15.
15.
15.
Wow.
15, so I've looked this over. It's 15 for a pond, a small lake, and swimming pools. 16 for a larger swim area. Yes.
Lori and the applicant, Lori Roundy is the program director, and this applicant is her daughter.
I
They'll both be at
understand.
the next meeting, but she was supposed to be here, she was sick, so. But we have postings out for
Yes.
applications.
Okay. No, I appreciated that she was interested and went through the process of applying, but I kind of needed to know, what is the process? When the camp is active and Miss Roundy is running the camp, who does she report to?
She's the manager of the program.
Right, Lori's the
But she,
director,
She would report to us.
the select board.
okay. So she's supervised by the select board.
Yes.
Do we supervise staff?
Well, indirectly through me.
Yes.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
there's an issue that
Yes.
comes up, you know,
Yes.
Lori will report it to me, and I will report to the select board.
Yes.
If we-
Okay.
If, I mean, if something's minor and we can just solve it ourselves, we will.
Yeah.
But Lori's been, director the last couple of years. Before that, she's been co-director with Lisa Katrupi for 5, 6, 7 years before that. So Lori has a lot of experience.
Yes.
The junior counselor, Olive, this will be her, I think, 3rd year. And she's turns 18, which is nice this summer. And it would just be nice to have one more
Right.
junior counselor. And if that person could have a lifeguard
Lifeguard,
certificate, that would
yes.
be very handy.
Has Olive expressed any interest in life-saving?
She
Olive
has her,
has it.
She has
She
it.
has it, oh, good.
Yes.
she has it.
Has Ari, because
And there
Ari
was
was,
A mention of a guy who would come
With
back
Ari.
for camp session.
Yeah, he contacted me more than a month ago and asked about what we were gonna do. He's only interested in lifeguarding though. And we're not gonna hire lifeguards for the public beach this summer, so you'd only have the option of just lifeguarding during the camp.
And
Yeah.
being a camp counselor as well.
No, he only wants the lifeguard for
No,
the
but what I'm
camp.
saying is that the position is for both. And
Right,
he only wants to lifeguard,
Right.
and that's not the position we're.
Yeah.
right, it really isn't, but you know, if we were to get in a pinch and we would want a second lifeguard, if Olive was sick, or there's, you know, a lot of kids that go camp, it's nice to have a second lifeguard, so
Yeah.
it's nice to consider Ari, you know, but it's tough because we can't guarantee him so many hours.
Right.
So it kind of leaves it up in the air, so another junior counselor with a lifeguard certificate would be ideal.
Yes.
And when you say it's posted, do we post it in this building? Do we put it out in the world? in
Yeah,
any
it's
way?
posted in this building. I put a flyer down at the post office. I've given Julie the flyer, so it'll go out in the next newsletter, which will be issued in another week. And we'll get something on Front Porch Forum, so.
And for people who are looking
And what's
to,
really nice is that Lori oftentimes pulls in people she wants to recommend too. She found a number of people the last couple of years, including Olive. So
yes.
people that she feels very comfortable working with.
And is the application available online?
Yes, it's on the website, on the documents and portage page of the website.
Where this is kind of a youth available position, did we send it to the high school, to the guidance people?
We haven't sent it, no. We have in the past, and that hasn't really given us any, we've really not
It's-
received any
Okay, thanks.
response from that, but it's not to mean we can't. We could still send it that way as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
do you think we should post it, to the high school to see if we can get some more candidates?
it would be a short turnaround. We didn't put a deadline on it?
No, because we just want it applicant, it's open until we fill it. And if we find a good candidate and we fill it, otherwise, we just want to keep it open. We don't want to cut off a date. If we put
Yeah.
in 2 weeks and we don't get anybody, then we're gonna have to just extend it. So it's kind of one of those open until we fill it.
The one thing is though, if it's somebody that needs to go get their Red Cross, the
Right.
only local one is the first weekend of June. Otherwise, they have to travel
Yeah.
farther away to
Yeah.
get their certification.
I Googled locations for that training, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is online now.
Rutland Rex is three days,
Yeah.
and then most of it's in the pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think Rutland Rec is doing theirs.
Actually, they're doing 2 this year.
Yes.
Which I
They're
was very
doing one
happy
in the-
about.
in the middle of June and one on Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
Great.
And then they have the Yes Plan one.
I guess
Yes.
I would feel comfortable if we just sent notice to the guidance department up at
Sure.
the high school. And not bring Laurie and her mother to the very next meeting, but the 3rd Monday in April. Because at that point, we'll know if we have other candidates, and I just don't want to embarrass a young kid who's kind of putting her toe out there the first time.
Are we
Is that
good
good?
with moving that?
It's up to
So
you.
we'll move it to the second meeting in April?
Okay.
The one thing though, is historically we have required somebody to be 16. That is one thing we do need to
Yeah.
think about too.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
So then
I say
maybe.
this knowing she's a capable young woman.
Yes. Yes.
But just, if that has been our precedent,
yeah. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
do we
The
need to?
maturing brain.
I have teenage girls, I don't know.
Well, it says it takes till age 24,
Yeah, it's not-
if ever.
It's not matured by 16, but
That's just the one thing is we do need to,
do we need to
Do we want to
decide
keep
on that
that
now, is
decide?
whether
No.
she's eligible
I
or?
don't think, because we did move that.
Right.
But that was one of the questions on the application, is in the past we have declined. But as pointed out, you can get your certification at 15, but that hasn't been our guidelines.
Great.
Okay, so now, let's see if there's anything for other business. Sandy, is there anything else in other business to review?
You saw the sale of the,
Yes.
Fernfield Farms property went through, so it was also on CAX News.
Okay.
That comes off the Grand West,
Yes.
Yes.
but nothing's gonna get built there. So we won't have to plow it.
So,
Right.
and just to let you update on that very last item, the buyout,
Yes.
he came in today and he's gonna accept the appraisers.
Well, he is.
So he's gonna move forward with it, so they're gonna buy out that property at 33 Weston.
Okay. Okay.
Wow, finally.
Yes. Yes, that took quite a while. Okay. Do we have a motion?
Oh, wait,
Okay.
maybe this is under other business. I just wanted to suggest, first of all, I was very impressed with the packet. It just gave me a lot of information and gave me a sense of what was coming, what the shape of the meeting. But I would like to see a standing thing on the agenda that says, items we'd like to consider at an upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
Or agenda items or something
Future,
like
like
that.
agenda building? Yes.
Agenda building.
Okay.
And then we hand those off and Sandy works her wonders.
But that kind of does, I mean, that's kind of how we have used the select board comments,
Yes.
but it's nice to have, I mean, it could be
Okay.
more
Yeah.
formalized.
Also, just so you know, any time between meetings too.
Yes.
Even if,
yes.
even if this is on the agenda and you discuss it then, in between meetings, if something comes up and you want it on the agenda, just
Okay.
call or email me, we can add anything that you want onto the agenda.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
even if
I
it's
know
outside
I've done
this.
it.
I'm gonna do it right now. I'd like an update on the boy with the boot, so I know that we're moving to having a boy standing in the middle of the fountain.
Okay.
That was-
Where are we, what's going on, who's doing what?
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
And now with that said,
that's it.
do we have a motion?
Wait.
About sand shed?
Wait.
Oh, are we gonna talk that right now? Okay.
I would-
Next meeting, right?
I would, so RFP has gone out already?
No.
No.
No, okay, that's what I was reading.
No.
Well, there's a lot been going on, right, Glenn?
I just wonder what size building we decided on.
Well, we
There's a
don't
lot
know.
going
We
on.
didn't
There's
decide.
moving, no, we have not. There's moving
Canal
parts going
building.
on. So this is on, the salt shed is on for the next meeting to discuss,
Uh-huh.
correct?
Salt and solar, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a lot to
Might as well.
discuss.
Push it down the road.
I mean, I can update
It's
if
not-
we want.
Yes,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
just so, for those of you who don't know, I guess, I attended a meeting with Phil and Tom Fort and Mark Tessier let's talk about stuff, and sort of got familiar with the documents. And I think we were talking some about, like, we were a little worried, like, one of the risks was that it all comes down to funding, right? We got to get what we were talking about, we needed a bond for, and that would have to be approved by the town. So we're like, well, what can we do to make this as sure thing as possible? I mean, we had to obviously let people know that the sand shed needed repairs, at least. I didn't know repair was an option until today. And that we're doing it in the most cost-effective way possible. So I talked to Tom a few times just to get some background on the solar stuff, because I'm coming in new. And sort of brought up the idea, well, what if they were decoupled, the solar from the shed? And would we be able to have like a more cost-effective way to make sure we got the shed that we need for a good price, if we didn't have to worry about supporting the solar part of it? And so he sort of ran with that a little bit and thought about different, like, thinking about that as two separate projects. And then I guess it just came up today. I just saw the email today that, Phil, I guess you had some ideas about just repairing the shed.
That was from back in 2022, when when it originally came up, and you thought
Well, that's
repairing
all-
the poles and repairing the trusses.
Well, yeah, it's possible, but
Yeah, I don't know.
it's not, if they're thinking of putting solar on that, never gonna
No,
happen.
so what?
Yeah, right.
So what they're talking about is now doing ground mount over on that property and not having the solar on the sand shed at all now. But this is,
It's possible to fix that. Reset the post.
I'm not necessarily advocating that. I just saw it the
No,
first
it's
time today.
possible. That's
Yeah.
all possible.
But I guess the idea was, like, if we looked at the shed as just a standalone project without the solar, could we get like a better price?
right.
Would we be more likely for it to pass muster with the rest of the town? You know,
What little I've dealt with the two different steel companies I talked to, they said the snow load and the panels, solar panels, make no difference. It's structurally built to hold both. The only thing they do is change the roof style, the tin work on the roof to go to standing seam, and has a clip or something in it that actually just holds the
Yeah.
panel, so it's all set up for them. There's basically no steel building difference, frame-wise or anything, is what I'm understanding.
Okay.
But they don't like to get out a lot of information and prints and stuff on it when you're not dealing with them per se,
Right.
you know. So that's the issue.
I mean, would it be advisable when we put an RFP out to solicit a bid for solar and then without a solar component to it?
Oh, I think they almost automatically come with a roof, don't they?
Well, I mean, a roof, yeah,
Yeah, the roof, it's just a matter of, they're gonna change the roof panels.
yeah.
Instead of regular, probably corrugated steel or tin or whatever, they're gonna go with standing seam. Something that locks to, by what I understand, locks to the original roof. I don't know how they actually.
So like a hoop roof or something, that wouldn't be a possibility?
No, not for solar, I don't.
No, I don't mean for solar. I mean, if you did it without solar, would,
Well, I know the hoop roof one we talked to was way more money than a steel one.
no kidding, really? Okay.
It was, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think we looked into it with the engineer and it was like 750, 780
Yes.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
compared to like roughly 500.
Yes,
It was.
Yes.
And then that's just a tarp
yeah,
with pole, you know,
Yep.
anything could go through it, anything can go through a steel
Right.
one too. But
Right.
right.
it doesn't make sense to put a tarp on it when you can put steel there instead
Yeah.
Right.
for less money.
Well, it may not make sense to, maybe that's not the viable way, but it was just like, I think it was because I don't have the history behind it or your knowledge, and I just felt like, well, maybe,
A lot of knowledge on it.
but I was like, well, what if we did it without solar? Would that
Kind of
be
learn as you
cheaper?
go here on this one.
But just trying to think of the risk that we face of not, because it's like, when I looked at the report that was from 4 years ago, that they were like, you should rope it off, no one should do it. And I was like, well, we're kind of, there's a liability risk for the town if something happened and somebody got hurt. So, it seemed like, so I was trying to think, well, how can we make sure this gets done as quickly as possible? And if decoupling the solar and the shed made that easier or cheaper, then maybe that was something to look at, but maybe, you know,
I think the issue being The biggest issue in the whole thing is the elevation difference.
Yes.
They're gonna make us change. I think that's gonna be a key problem,
I mean, the height of the building.
raising
that
it
we
4
want-
feet
Yes.
Yeah,
compared to what we have.
Yep.
I talked to, town clerk in Tinmouth when they had, they were looking for a sand shed and a town garage. And they got money and did the town garage, but just getting a regular loan from the bank at the preferred municipal rate was cheaper than a bond. So we may have to look into that, you know. I mean,
I know they're pushing this for the solar, but like I told them at the meeting, it's not gonna happen. There's no possible way to stick a building in there and have it ready and solar panels on it by the end of the year.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
not
not gonna
gonna
happen. You'd be lucky if you have a building even erected up by the end of the year.
Yes.
and, it's gonna take a long time to amortize anyway.
It's just,
You know?
it's not a fast thing at all. It
Yeah.
takes
Yeah,
a while to
yeah.
do this.
Yep.
I know, I realize that.
It really should be, at this point in the game, it's too late to start this year. Get the paperwork done, get some money started, get it lined up so next spring, when the shed is empty
Okay.
in March, they can start, you know, and after flood season stops, you can do whatever we're gonna do for a building or improvements on what we have
Yeah.
and get it done before we get into this push to fall, because you really need to have your sand in it by October
Right.
while it's dry, before the fall rains start.
Right.
Yep.
Because that's a big headache if you put a lot of wet sand in a shed.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, it's just,
that sounds like a good idea.
we're kind of behind schedule already this year.
Yeah, I understand that. So, I mean, I guess I just, you know, if we don't think there's any advantage to really decoupling those two projects, then maybe it's not worth pursuing that, but,
No, I don't think the solar is already, as far as I'm concerned, unless they do it somewhere else, which is gonna cost a lot more money, isn't gonna make it.
well, I mean, I guess maybe that's one thing to look at in terms of decoupling, is if we need to pass a bond for the shed, and we tell people, well, it's a safety issue, and it's gonna cost $650,000, but we're gonna put solar panels on it, we might get some pushback from people saying, well, why are we doing the solar panels? Like, why, if we can get
And
this.
the other thing is, do we have an exact upfront cost on what the solar panels are gonna cost?
No, you have to.
So there's another, you might have to bond that too.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
We just,
Yep.
focus on the sand shed.
Federal energy rebates will be gone on solar panels.
Yeah,
yeah.
all that stuff's gonna go.
Yeah.
Missed the opportunity.
Well, so I think when, I don't know, when Tom mentioned the ground mount for the solar panels, he was thinking maybe that could be done
Right.
without a bond issue, you know.
I
through-
think that's why he was thinking
Gotcha.
decoupling it, mainly to get that in before the
Be
end
able
of
to
the
get it
year, so
in.
that the certificate of public good doesn't.
Gotcha.
Doesn't expire, right.
Gotcha.
But it's still probably gonna cost $100,000.
So
Where
we can-
are we gonna cough up that money?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know much.
I mean, there's some money in
Yes.
the ARPA left,
Yes.
but, I mean, it depends on what it's gonna
I
cost.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yes. And there
Nobody's
is-
asked that question yet on the solar?
Well, you know, they would have to put out a RFP, well, they,
Yeah.
4 contractors gave us estimates for panels on the sand
Yeah.
shed. So we have those.
Yes.
I think
Yep.
what Energy's gonna discuss at their next meeting is to contact those contractors and say, you gave us these bids, can you update them, same requirements, but for ground mounted?
Ground.
I think that's what their plan is.
So what were the roof mounts? What was the dollar amount on them?
I mean, there's like 4 or 5, they ran from like 50 to 70, I think.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was like last fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, with no contingencies on them.
But so this is all going to be discussed at the April 7th meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But just so you're all up to date
Thank
from
you.
the
Right.
No.
discussions we had.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Any other discussion?
I move,
Okay.
okay.
And
Move
we have a
adjourned.
motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved.